They said the tension between Papoose and Claressa Shields had cooled down. But tonight, the gloves are off and the receipts are out. In a twist no one saw coming, Claressa didn't just throw shades, she went for the jugular, leaking what she claims are the real details of Papoose's private money situation. We're talking whispers of overdue payments, hidden debts, and a lifestyle that might not be as untouchable as it looks on Instagram. And the way she dropped it. Calculated. Ruthless, the kind of move that instantly split the internet down the middle. But before the dust could even settle on that bombshell, another shockwave ripped through social media. Out of nowhere, Sha'Carri Richardson, the queen of speed and controversy, was suddenly booked. Booked for what? The official story isn't lining up with the leaked details trickling out online. Witness accounts are clashing with the so-called official reports, and insiders are hinting this could be part of something much bigger. Something orchestrated. Now the timelines are colliding. Claressa's money leak. Papoose's silence. Sha'Carri sucks shocking arrest. And fans are asking the one question no one has answered. These two stories connected, or is this just the wildest week in celebrity chaos history? All I can say is, by the time you see how deep this goes, you won't just be shocked whole. Be questioning who's really pulling the strings. The first signs of trouble didn't start with a public post, a paparazzi shot, or even a whisper on a gossip blog. They started with a cryptic comment buried deep in a late-night Instagram live. Claressa Shields, in the middle of chatting with fans about her latest fight prep, suddenly veered off topic. Her tone shifted sharp, deliberate as, she said, "You know? Some people talk big about loyalty, but they don't even have their own pockets, right?" She sipped her drink, smirked, and quickly changed the subject. It could have been nothing. Except it wasn't. Fans clipped the moment, shared it across Twitter, and tagged one name over and over again: Papoose. The speculation spread like wildfire. People remembered the tense history between Claressa and Papoose, whispers of behind-the-scenes arguments, subtle jabs in interviews, and that infamous night, months ago, when they were caught in a heated exchange backstage at an award show. Within hours, Claressa doubled down, posting an Instagram story with a screenshot of what appeared to be a bank statement. Names were blurred, but the amounts weren't. Several transactions were circled in red, along with the caption, "This is what happens when you front for the cameras." Fans went into detective mode. Some claimed they matched the amounts to rumored investments Papoose had made in a failed business venture. Others said the pattern of withdrawals lined up with legal filings connected to an ongoing dispute over unpaid studio equipment leases. The internet didn't have hard proof, but it didn't need it. The narrative had already been written. Claressa had just put Papoose's finances on blast. Papoose, for his part, stayed silent. No posts, no interviews, no denials. And that silence was deafening. It allowed Claressa's version of events to dominate the conversation. But insiders say this wasn't an impulsive move. A source close to Claressa claimed she'd been sitting on these receipts for weeks, waiting for the right moment. According to the source, she felt Papoose had been moving shady behind the scenes, trying to discredit her in private conversations while maintaining a friendly front in public. When she got wind of a specific comment he allegedly made about her needing to stay in her lane, she decided it was time to remind him what lane he was really in. The fallout was instant. Blogs ran headlines like "Claressa Shields finishes Papoose with one screenshot and rapper's finances exposed by boxing champ." Fans flooded Papoose's latest Instagram post, ironically a motivational quote about staying humble, with comments like "Pay your bills first. Big bro and Claressa got you looking broke out here." Meanwhile, hip-hop insiders started chiming in. One DJ claimed on his podcast that he'd heard similar stories about Papoose's financial strain, citing slow payments to collaborators and canceled show dates. A popular gossip influencer went even further, saying she had exclusive DMs, suggesting Papoose had borrowed money from a well-known industry figure and hadn't paid it back yet. Claressa, clearly enjoying the attention, posted a boomerang of herself at the gym, hitting a punching bag with the caption, "I don't miss." It was short, sharp. It sent the message loud and clear. She wasn't backing down. But the internet wasn't satisfied with just financial drama. People wanted to know if there was a bigger story behind Claressa's decision to go public. Why? Now, why this level of shade? And was there more to come? That's when the second storm began brewing, one that would pull Sha'Carri Richardson into the chaos. Late that same night, a breaking news alert hit Twitter. Sha'Carri Richardson. Booked-in city name details developing. At first, no one could believe it. The track star had been riding high after a series of wins and sponsorship deals, seemingly untouchable. But the booking report was real, and photos from the county database confirmed it. The initial official story claimed it was a minor disturbance incident, but within minutes, alternative versions started to circulate. One bystander claimed Sha'Carri had been targeted after a heated argument with a high-profile attendee at a private event. Another alleged she'd been approached by plainclothes officers in a situation that felt staged. The connection between Claressa's leak and Sha'Carri's booking wasn't obvious, but social media thrives on patterns, and soon people began linking the two events. Theories ranged from "it's just a bad week for black excellence" to elaborate claims that both women were being targeted as part of a coordinated smear campaign. One particularly viral thread suggested that Papoose had ties to the very circles that could have set Sha'Carri up. It was pure speculation, but the timing was suspicious enough to keep people talking by the following morning. The headlines were everywhere. Claressa was still trending for exposing Papoose. Sha'Carri's name dominated every sports outlet, with half the commentary focusing on her booking and the other half defending her against what many saw as selective enforcement. And buried in the middle of it all, a question no one could answer. Was there a hidden connection between these two firestorms, or was the universe just dealing out chaos in double portions? Whatever the truth, it was clear both stories were far from over. And if the whispers coming from behind closed doors were true, part 2 of this mess would bring an even more dangerous revelation. One that could flip the public's perception of who the real victim was. Because sometimes, in celebrity drama, the loudest person isn't the one telling the truth. By the time sunrise hit, both stories were boiling at the top of the trending list. Claressa Shields still riding the viral wave of her pocket check on Papoose, and Sha'Carri Richardson's booking photo being reposted across every major outlet. But it was the sudden overlap in the narratives that caught everyone off guard. It started when a gossip influencer with nearly 1 million followers posted a seemingly innocent observation. Funny how Sha'Carri was at the same event Claressa was at 2 nights ago. The post blew up. Fans immediately started speculating, was there a conversation, a meeting, maybe even a confrontation that tied these two bombshells together? Then, an unverified but juicy detail surfaced allegedly from someone working security at the event. They claimed Sha'Carri had been seen leaving the VIP section with Claressa, both looking fired up and speaking in low, urgent tones. 10 minutes later, Papoose reportedly arrived through a side entrance, flanked by 2 associates. Witnesses say he and Claressa locked eyes across the room, and while no words were exchanged, the tension was enough to draw stares. The theory practically wrote itself. In the days leading up to her arrest, Sha'Carri had been in proximity too. Both Claressa and Papoose, during a week when Claressa was actively torching him online, was Sha'Carri caught in the crossfire of an entirely different war. Papoose still hadn't addressed Claressa's claims, but he did post a cryptic tweet at 9:42 a.m. When you stand in the rain with someone, be ready to get wet too. No names, no context. But paired with the timing and Sha'Carri's Arrested felt loaded. Meanwhile, more details about Sha'Carri's booking started to leak. One outlet reported that she was detained after a disturbance at a private afterparty. But attendees claimed the disturbance was nothing more than her refusing to leave a conversation when asked. Another source insisted that the ask came from someone with connections to Papoose, someone who wanted her gone before she heard too much. That phrase, "heard too much," spread like wildfire online. A popular TikTok creator pieced together a conspiracy thread suggesting Sha'Carri had been privy to sensitive information about Papoose's money troubles, and her sudden booking was a way to discredit her before she could share it. The theory was messy, unproven, and wildly speculative, but it fit perfectly into the internet's appetite for drama. As the story mutated, Claressa poured fuel on the fire with another calculated post. Sha'Carri's camp finally issued a short statement. Sha'Carri Richardson was briefly detained due to a misunderstanding. She is cooperating fully and looks forward to moving past this distraction. But by then, the misunderstanding narrative was already drowned out by speculation. And then came the unexpected curveball, a leaked voice memo allegedly from a group chat involving several industry figures. In the recording, a male voicesome claimed it was Papoose could be heard saying, "She knows what she heard. That's why she's got to be handled before it becomes a headline." If real, it was damning. If fake, it was genius. Either way, it was enough to set social media ablaze. Theories shifted into overdrive. Was Sha'Carri's booking actually a calculated move to keep her from talking about Papoose's alleged financial problems? And was Claressa orchestrating the chaos to force him into a public confrontation? By mid-afternoon, hashtag handle before the headline was trending, with thousands of users posting their own versions of what the headline could have been. Some joked about wild scenarios, but others insisted it was about more than money, hinting at business deals, quiet payouts, and contracts that couldn't survive public scrutiny. As for Papoose, the pressure was mounting. He'd gone from ignoring the situation to being painted as the shadowy mastermind behind a celebrity athlete's public embarrassment. His team released a statement calling all of it ridiculous internet fiction. But even that backfired. Fans accused him of dodging specifics and refusing to address why so many connected dots seemed to point back to him. Meanwhile, Claressa seemed to be enjoying herself more with each passing hour. She went live again that evening, her tone dripping with confidence. "Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's still the truth," she said, smirking into the camera. The comments section blew up, half the viewers begging her to drop more receipts, the other half accusing her of manipulating the situation for attention. Sha'Carri, fresh out and quiet on social media, broke her silence with a single Instagram story. A black screen with the words, "Not everyone smiling at you is your friend." She didn't name names, but it was enough to keep the speculation alive. And just when people thought the week couldn't get any wilder, an insider dropped one final nugget. Allegedly, there was surveillance footage from that private event footage that showed all three in the same room, along with a fourth figure no one had mentioned yet. Someone with the power to connect all the threads and the influence to keep certain details buried. That footage, the insider claimed, was about to leak. And if it did, everything we thought we knew about Papoose's money drama and Sha'Carri's booking was about to flip upside down. The whispers about the fourth figure sent the internet into overdrive. Every gossip blog, every fan podcast, every Twitter thread was trying to figure out who could possibly be important enough to bridge to completely different scandals and dangerous enough to keep the truth hidden this long. By Monday afternoon, the leak everyone had been waiting for finally hit a short, grainy snippet of surveillance footage from inside the VIP section at that now infamous event. It wasn't the full tape, but it was enough to cause a meltdown. The video opens with Claressa standing near the bar, scrolling through her phone. Sha'Carri is a few feet away, leaning in close to whisper something. Claressa's expression shifts serious, then annoyed. A few seconds later, Papoose enters from the side, scanning the room. He doesn't approach, but he's clearly watching. And then, out of nowhere, tall man in a designer coat steps between them. Viewers didn't need much guessing to ID him. Andre Stax Fulton, a music executive notorious for making problems disappear for a price. His appearance instantly changed the game. Stax wasn't just some random industry face, he had deep ties to both Papoose and the management company that had recently signed an endorsement deal with Sha'Carri. Rumors about his methods had floated for years. Buyouts to keep stories quiet, legal intimidation to shut down whistleblowers, and, in some cases, quiet payments to make damaging evidence vanish. The clip shows Stax speaking to Sha'Carri, gesturing toward the exit. She shakes her head, visibly frustrated. He leans in closer, and whatever he says makes her throw up her hands and step back. Moments later, security approaches her, and the video cuts. It was enough for the internet to decide this wasn't coincidence. The theory solidified Sha'Carri had overheard something about Papoose's alleged money situation, maybe even a conversation between him and Claressa. And Stax had been sent in to make sure it didn't become public by nightfall. #StaxKnew was trending alongside hashtag handled before the headline. Bloggers began digging into Stax's past, unearthing a string of quiet settlements involving artists who'd been on the brink of exposing financial disputes. The pattern was too close for comfort. Claressa, of course, couldn't resist. She posted a cryptic tweet. When the middleman steps in, you know the truth's about to hit hard. She didn't name Stax, but everyone knew. Her followers flooded her mentions with fire emojis and demands for the full story. Papoose, still maintaining radio silence, broke it in the most indirect way possible, posting a photo of himself in the studio with the caption, "Focus on the music, not the noise." The comment section instantly turned into a war zone. One fan wrote, "You mean focus on hiding your bank statements?" Another replied, "We just want to know why Stax was there." Meanwhile, Sha'Carri made her first post since her release up. Short video of her running sprints on a track, the caption reading, "Still faster than your lies." It was subtle, but her smirk at the end said everything by Tuesday morning. The story took another hit when an anonymous insider went live on a popular gossip podcast, claiming they knew exactly what Sha'Carri had overheard. According to them, Papoose was in talks to liquidate assets quietly to cover a major personal debt allegedly tied to a failed business partnership with someone high up in the sports endorsement world. The source wouldn't give names, but fans instantly connected that description to Stax. That claim turned the scandal from messy gossip into a potential legal mess. If true, it could mean Papoose's financial issues weren't just embarrassing. They were connected to shady deals that could blow back on others in the industry. For the next 48 hours, the pressure mounted. Journalists started calling around for comments. Sponsors began quietly reevaluating their partnerships. And more leaks trickled out, screenshots of texts, old photos of Stax at closed-door meetings, and whispers about a second piece of surveillance footage that showed everything. That's when the final twist of the week dropped. Late Thursday night, a rival gossip site claimed to have obtained part 2 of the VIP footage. They didn't post it, but they described it in detail. Claressa and Sha'Carri together, leaning over a table with papers spread out, papers allegedly tied to financial accounts. Papoose in the background, phone to his ear, pacing, and Stax watching from the corner before stepping in to break it up. The site promised they were verifying the footage before release. But everyone knew what that meant. It was a bidding war for the exclusive. And when it dropped, it wouldn't just confirm the conspiracy theories, it would drag everyone involved into a public mess they couldn't control. For now, the questions hung heavy in the air. What exactly was on those papers? Why was Stacks so invested in shutting the conversation down? And if Sha'Carri really had the inside scoop on Papoose's finances, why was Claressa willing to go nuclear in public instead of keeping it between them? Whatever the answers, one thing was clear. Wasn't just a feud, an arrest, or a leaked receipt. This was a tangled web of money, power, and influence where every player had something to lose. And the next leak wouldn't just embarrass someone, it could ruin them. If you thought this week was wild, you haven't seen anything. Yet because the leaks we've heard about behind the scenes make everything so far look like the warm-up act. Claressa's calculated shots, Papoose's stone-cold silence, Sha'Carri's cryptic clapbacks. They're all just pieces of a bigger puzzle. And according to insiders, that puzzle is about to snap together in a way that will expose more than anyone bargained for. We're talking names, paper trails, and receipts so detailed they could end endorsement deals overnight. That VIP footage, the part that's still locked away, it's not just incriminating Neat's career ending. And when it drops, there's no PR spin in the world that can save the people caught in it. The question now isn't if the truth will come out, it's when. And trust me, when it hits, it'll hit hard. The connections between Claressa, Papoose, Sha'Carri, and Stacks aren't just coincidence. They're the blueprint for one of the most high-stakes showdowns Hollywood and the sports world have ever seen. If you want the inside scoop before everyone else, if you want to hear the unfiltered version before the headlines get watered down, this is the moment to lock in. Smash that like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on? Is Claressa the truth teller or the instigator? Was Sha'Carri caught in the crossfire or targeted? Hit subscribe and turn on all notifications right now, because the next chapter in this saga isn't just coming, it's about to explode. And when it does, you'll want to be the first